Hi everybody, I thought we would make a St. Patrick's Day card together, and I know it's St. Patrick's Day, it's just in a couple days actually, but if you have paint on hand, you can get a couple of these cards out pretty quick. So I'm going to start by taping it to a board here. I like to tape it down because I just love that white border around my paintings. I love it on all my big size and my little size paintings. I don't know why, but I do. I think it just gives a nice little frame. And so, is this one too small? I'll save that for something else. Okay. I am using Holbein soft tape. I think it is awesome. I really like it. It doesn't tear the paper, and it's just really great. I hardly ever have any, in fact, I can't remember if I've had any bleed through. Surely I have, but it's just kind of one of those reliable tapes, and it comes in lots of different widths. Okay, so I've got that down, and now I'm going to draw some little clovers. And if you're not familiar with clovers, they're kind of hearts. So I'm going to start by just drawing some out, and usually, I mean, I have a lot of clover in my yard. Usually they're in groups of three petals or leaves, and oftentimes though, people say if you find a 4-leaf clover, that's good luck. So I will hide a 4-leaf clover in here, and there's a pretty strong shadow, so hopefully that's not so bad. We've got kind of a dreary day going here. Now, these were pretty heart-shaped, and I'm gonna smooth them out. They're heart-shaped, but I wanted to avoid a strong heart, so I did them kind of strong there because my brain was saying heart, and so I made a heart. And you can make yourself have an easier time painting if you make larger ones, but I'm going to try and vary it. I'll do a 4 here. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Oops, they're getting away from me. I will fix that up before I paint. And don't go too crazy. I mean, some of them might be tilted. Don't worry too much about it. You have to just have fun with it. It's a fun little card, and it's meant to just be, this is like a relaxing little project. I think I'm going to do some that are on their side, so you're only seeing kind of this one petal, maybe 2. I keep saying petals, I think they're leaves, and the clover in my yard usually has, often has little white flowers nearby. I'm just kind of trying to get some overlapping here, and then we will start painting. I don't need too many, I'm just trying to have kind of a fun little mix here. Do I have 2 4s? I do have 2 4s. Okay, let's maybe make some little tiny ones up here, kind of getting away from us. Alright, maybe one more side view here. There. Hopefully people can tell that's a side view. Alright, let me clean up my little mess. I thought I brought an eraser in here. I guess I did not. I'm gonna fix those a little bit. Okay, now if you are heavy-handed with your pencil, you can go in and do some lightening by just kind of, I like to just kind of go over and just lightly erase the entire thing, because I tend to be heavy-handed when I draw. But I don't erase it completely, so it's lighter, but you can still see everything. Hopefully you can see everything. All right, so now we're just going to choose a few greens, and I have next to me my Daniel Smith palette because I was using it earlier, so I'm going to use some of those colors. And I don't know if you're like me, you do a drawdown sheet of what's in your palette, and that means you just kind of swatch them out. So, and I always do them in the order that they are, so I know. So I'm going to use the green, gold, sap green, and hooker's green. I'm just going to kind of go through all these. And this one is kind of brighter than these two, so it's a little bit odd, but I think it'll look nice all together, so I'll do some mixing. I might not use much of the sap. I might do green, gold, hooker's green, and then I'm going to throw in a little bit of indigo. So I will put some of those on my palette, and I'm just using a couple brushes. I reached for my smaller. I've got a round 4 and a round 6. And I did bring in a liner just in case I want to do some little stems, but I'm not sure. So I'm using small because we're working in a small space. And let me put some more paint on my palette. Throw some indigo up here. And some of that hooker's green. Beating up. I heard that if you, and I meant to keep meaning to do it, if I use a magic eraser, you know, those Mr. Clean magic erasers, and just kind of wash it down, that some of this film will come off and it won't beat up as much. I don't know if you've heard that, but I did do that with my other palette, and I keep forgetting to do that with this one, and or maybe I did in some parts, but I didn't do a good job over there. I don't know. Okay, so step 1, we're going to go ahead and wet down our background. And my brush still has a little bit of the green on it, and I don't mind that at all. So I've got my water next to me, and I'm just kind of wetting down behind the little clover, and I'm getting it nice and wet. I'm not going all the way to the edges on all the sides, but I am going to go to the edges a couple times. So I'm going to do it up by this little guy and down here and the one side. Just so there's still some white space, but mostly it'll be covered. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and use this green gold. I really love this green gold, and I'm going to paint the background, and I'm just letting it bleed all over and just going with it. And we'll let it do its thing. And I'm going to come in with that hookers. I can mix a little bit of that together. So I've got kind of a darker shade. I'm not going to go straight with the real dark. And I think I'm not going to use the sap green because those together kind of give me a midway green, and I like that. So let's omit the sap green and just use those 3 colors. And of course, use whatever greens you have. Okay. So I've got my background. You just want to make sure that you've gotten around all of those little clovers, and then let it fade out off to the side. Now if you've got some hard lines like I do over here, I'm just going to rinse my brush and just kind of let those fuzz out a little bit. So I don't want to have any super hard lines. I'm just going to let those fuzz out a little bit there. And then I'm going to come in with that indigo and just kind of tap a couple areas just for fun. I'm going to kind of go up here. And we're going to use a lot more of that indigo in the center. And maybe one more spot over here. Okay, I think I like that. Now remember, watercolor does dry lighter than it looks, so we might have to do another layer, but let's take a look. I'm going to dry this. I have a little drying tool, so I'm going to use that, but you can just step away and let it dry. Okay. You do want to be a little careful when you heat with the tape, because if you get too close to it, it could peel off and then you no longer have that nice tape. Okay, so it is a little lighter than I intended actually in a couple places. So I am gonna do another layer of that green gold. See how it dries lighter than you think? So I'm gonna come in and brighten that back up again. I don't know if the wind howling outside is picking up on the video. Hopefully not. It is really blowing out there. Okay. All right, and so that is my green gold. And then I'm going to come in and add some darker bits here and there, and that indigo again. Okay, we've got it nice and dry. And now we're going to paint. Now we're going to paint around these clover, which means we're doing like reverse painting, negative space painting. Let me grab a little more of that Hooper's green. And so we want the color that we're putting down to be darker than the shamrocks, or sorry, these are clovers. We had a big debate about this at the park, just, well, it wasn't a super big debate. But we had a little bit of a debate about shamrocks and clover, so hopefully I am not wrong, but I can be. Clover is in my opinion, the more heart-shaped ones that you see in your yard, and shamrocks, because I have some in a pot, are more triangular and usually in threes. I don't know that I've ever seen a four-leaf shamrock. I don't even know if it's possible. I have seen four-leaf clover. I am mixing some more of that indigo in with that Hooker's green. And so I am kind of going in and out of these little clovers. And then, like, I'm coming to an end here where there isn't another clover nearby. So I'm at the end. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to tap it on my towel, and then I'm going to kind of fuzz it out and let it fade away around that clover, like so. There we go. Okay. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go and keep doing that around and around and around. And if you need to get a smaller brush, this is a 6, so it has a nice point in it, but if you feel that a smaller brush is easier, obviously you should switch to a smaller one. I might in a minute, can't decide. Sometimes a smaller brush is nice, but then it doesn't hold as much water and pigment, so then you have to go and dip it so many times, and you know, there's a trade-off. So I'm still going in and out of all of my, oops, I made a weirdly shaped one. You can kind of fix and adjust if you need to. And hopefully I can do this in one pass and not have to go back in and darken, because that could take a while. This card actually, it ends up super cute, but it does take some time and some patience, and you can't really rush it. My mom's birthday is in March. We're Irish. And my brother's birthday is in March. And so I made them last week cards like this for their birthdays. We got together early. We kind of do like everybody's in the family's birthday at the same time. My daughter's birthday is also in March. But she doesn't like it to feel like a St. Patrick's Day card, because she wants it to be all about her and not St. Patrick's Day. She's cute. Anyway, I think my brother's name is Patrick. His name is supposed to be Christopher, because my name is Beth, my sister's name is Amy, so we were like A and B, and then he was going to be Christopher, C. My parents must have liked that idea. And then he was born actually the day before St. Patrick's Day, and they ended up naming him Patrick. I don't know if that's why they haven't said that, but they did say he was going to be Christopher, so I'm kind of assuming. I guess I shouldn't assume. Okay, so I've got that, and I see a little triangle there. So if you went really light or you erased really well, sometimes it might be hard to find these little, it's like you're actually hunting for the clover. Okay, I'm going to keep going. Let's see, do I have one here? Alright, so I think what I'll do is be quiet, and I will continue painting, and then when I edit I will do a fast forward so you don't have to watch and listen to me babble. I will say one more time though, I'm getting to the end here where I am losing like I don't have an edge at the here because I'm coming to the end of this little clover patch. So what I'm going to do, like I did over here, I am going to add the paint just as before, and then I'm going to fade it out. And you shouldn't wait too long to do that fade out. Like if you outlined the whole thing first, that probably wouldn't be the best because that line might show up too much, you know, like it'll dry into your paper and it'll be harder to fade it out. So here I'm gonna fade, I put too much water on my brush. I'm gonna fade it out. Let's see, I kind of waited a little too long right there. So I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of paint and come back in and add it. And then kind of use just water to fade that out. And I'm just kind of pulling it down until I run out of pigment. Just going like that. There. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and continue on. Another thing to remind yourself that you can do is turn your board or your paper, whatever it is you're working on, because sometimes it's easier to work from a different angle. So I'm going to do that and come over here and work on this side. Okay, I've got all my clover done, and now I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to put it back right side up. And I'm going to decide which one of these need a little something something, because see, so they're overlapping and I do want to distinguish them from each other. So some of them are going to get an actual color and some are going to be left completely alone. So I think this one here has, you have to kind of decide, this one is touching several, so by doing this one it kind of helps out four others. It touches 4 other clovers, so that's a good choice. I think I'll do him, and I am kind of going to mix up some of my colors here and get a different shade. And so I'm kind of mixing that hooker's green with the green gold, and I'm getting this like really cute clover color, and hopefully it's dry around it and it won't fade too much. Oh yeah, I like that color. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and give him some color. Now I don't want him to be super flat, because if I paint him all one color like I'm doing, it might flatten him out a little bit. So I'm going to actually come in again while it's wet here and kind of drop in some other things. So I will, see, he's very cute, but let's give him a little something. So maybe some straight hooker's green will liven him up a little bit. So something in the middle to kind of give him some more color, so he's not just kind of one note. And then we'll see how he looks. All right, I like that. Now let's look for another clover that could use a little something something. Perhaps this one here, because he also touches 4. So that might be a good one. And I'm going to try to vary my colors here, so I don't want to do that exact shade again. So I'm going to try to, I lost my 4-leaf clover. There's one. Oh, there's it. Was that part of this, or is this part of that? Let's let that be the only one, I think. I think this one, I don't know. I think this is part of that. So let's go ahead and paint him. I might regret that, because maybe he should have been a 4-leaf clover. I don't know. Alright, so I'm going to give this one a nice little wash of, this is almost all hooker's green here. Hooker's green deep. But we can go in and give him a little character, but yeah, he's pretty dark. I went a little dark on that one. Let's see if we can give him a little touches of, while it's wet, I can add some of that green gold to the center, and see how it kind of pushed the hooker's green outward? That's kind of nice. I like that, actually. Okay, so let's find some other ones that we might want to add some color to. I really like how that turned out. Let's do that on this one, on the little 4-leaf one. So here I'm going in with almost straight hooker's green. And then while it's wet, although that might be lighter, I'm going to clean that off, and I'm going to come in with this green gold and allow it to kind of push that hooker's green away. All right, I like that. So here we're going to just kind of go around, and you know, sometimes you might want to even add, like I'm going to add this hooker's green one, or this green gold one here is actually pretty light. He didn't stay vibrant, so I'm going to give him another little wash and brighten him up a little bit. And you can kind of go around and decide if you want to do that to some others. There we go. And you can even drop in some color on those, just to give them a little something. Okay, so again, I'm going to be quiet and just keep painting, and I will come back in if I come up with something that I need to say. I'm going to say a couple more things. I want to add a couple teeny tinies. I'm just going to free draw them with my brush paint. I'm going to grab the smaller four. If you have smaller brush, that might be good. I've decided not to add any stems, and I'm just going to kind of add a couple little tinies, just kind of floating here, just because I felt like I could use a couple more. Okay, maybe I went too far. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going. I gotta stop myself. I just feel like I need a balance now, because now I went too far over there. I have to go too far over here. Okay, I'm gonna stop myself. And maybe what I'm going to add is some splatter. I think I will add some splatter. Okay, so to add splatter, I'm going to get my larger brush pretty wet. And I'm going to pick up, I think, some of these darker colors. And I'm just going to hit it against my finger. Yes, I like the splatter. Kind of ties that background together. And it helps with that too crazy clover. Okay, there. I'm done. Now let's put it on a card. So I made this flat, and there are watercolor cards out on the market where you have a card that's got a fold in the middle. I have tons of them at home, and why is there not one on my desk? And that's what I used when I made a larger one, because they tend to be 5x7. But sometimes I like making these teeny tiny cards, and they're really cute. This is going to be a regular standard size greeting card when it's done. I'm going to go ahead and hit it with the heat tool, and then I will show you how I finish it off. Let's take off the tape. See how nice that peels? I mean, it really is great tape. Holbein soft tape. They don't give me any money, obviously, because I don't have very many followers on my channel. But I do love it. Look at that. Perfect. Okay. Here is how I finish off my cards when I make them. So I have a lot of cardstock at home because I am a Stampin' Up! Person. Probably you noticed that. And that means that I sell craft supplies. So cardstock at Stampin' Up! Is really nice. And so, I mean, you can use what you have, obviously. But I just want to say I like the cardstock, and so I tend to go ahead and use it even when I'm not using it for my stamping stuff. So this is a regular standard size greeting card, so it'll be a standard size envelope, and so that means that it's a piece of 8.5 by 11. So it was a piece of 8.5 by 11 like this, and then I scored it down the middle longwise and then chopped it in half, and that gives me 2 card bases. So then I go ahead and I'm going to put this down. Now on this weekend, when it was my brother's birthday and my mother's birthday, I came up with Irish rhymes. Like, you know, have you ever heard a blessing, Irish blessings? And we had my mom's, I put a traditional one on there. May your troubles be few and your blessings be more, and nothing but happiness come through your door, something like that. And my brother's, though, he's kind of goofy, and so I tried to come up with my own for him. And I probably made it really corny, but he liked it. He laughed and he said it was funny. And it was all about barbecue, because he's our family barbecuer. And it said, may your charcoal stay lit and your smoker... Oh, what did it say? Nope. May your charcoal stay hot and your smoker stay lit, and the sauce keep flowing till you say quit. Something like that. Anyway, if you have some good Irish blessings, put them in the comments, because it's fun. We can all put up different comments. And then I usually put a piece of white cardstock in the middle, and that way I can write out my silly little greetings, and that's what I tend to do. Usually I do that before I glue it down because sometimes my penmanship is not great. I do happen to have the St. Patrick's Day stamp, so I'm going to use that actually. And here we go. And then I'll go ahead and stick it down. All right, so that is what I'm going to do. And that is my St. Patrick's Day card. You can handwrite that. Another thing, if you don't like your handwriting, like I usually don't like mine, I sometimes will print this out on the computer and add that on the inside, or I will print it on the computer and then stick it under a light box, and then I'll paint on top of it. I'm going to see if I can throw a little shamrock, not a shamrock, clover over here. This is not watercolor paper, so I'm not using a lot of water because I just want it to be a little clover. There. Okay. That is my St. Patrick's Day card. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you'll make some. Again, I just started this channel because I love to watercolor, and my other channel is all about my card making business, and so I don't do any watercolor. Well, I do. Sometimes I use watercolor on my cards, actually, like I just did now. But it's mostly for my stamping business, and I really love to share videos on how-tos, and I teach at the Park District, and sometimes people can't make it to class. So this way they can, like we made big ones of this, big size, last week at the Park District, and so it was really fun. And so people can't always make it, and that way they can see what we did and they can follow along. So that's what this channel is all about, just sharing my love of creating things. Mostly it'll be watercolor, although I do love collage and mixed media also. Art journaling is my favorite. So, well, watercolor is my favorite. Art journaling comes right next. All right, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you make a St. Patrick's Day card, and if you come up with a fun little St. Patrick's Day blessing, let me know and put it in the comments, and we can all share the laugh at that. Fun ones or sweet ones, whatever is good for you. Thanks for watching. Bye.